we bought the farm, and this is the first day of closing on the house, driving up to our property, and basically the first look. We just got word that we closed this morning and officially everything's recorded, so we're ready to run on over. And our little dog making a ton of noise, ready to explore the 10 acres. We're very excited and come along as we get our first look and our first steps on our own little 10-acre farm. We are on the way over to our property. The movers are finishing up at our old house right now, and I've got 2 dogs, 19 chickens, and 7 ducks in the car right now, and I'm gonna make it over there ASAP. I'm keeping the car nice and temperature controlled, and I'm gonna set up their space here in just a moment, get them ready, fresh waters, get them settled and warm. And of course we had a snowstorm driving up. Don't mind my husband with a missing tooth. That was my son knocking it out. Soon it'll be fixed, so stay tuned for pictures with a nicer smile going forward. So here is us driving up the road where we live. Our house is way up in those hills where it's currently pretty gloomy and snowy, even though it is the end of April. The view is absolutely stunning, guys. I couldn't believe it despite the weather being kind of crabby. We absolutely adore the drive up and down from the property. This is our dirt road up to the house. Snow, wind, and all. Classic Montana style. And here we are. We're driving into our enormous driveway, which to us is huge. We are just coming from a small property in town. And yeah, here it is, guys, in its full glory in the winter weather in April in Montana. Flowers on the table from our amazing lender and friend Stacia Timbrook, and also to the Hyde team. If you're looking for a realtor in Montana, Mike Hyde and his team are fantastic. These guys look out for you. Not at all sponsored. I just wanted to throw this out there because we're so incredibly happy with how this all went. So now we're at the property, and what's the plan? We are planning to have a couple of animals. We've started with chickens and ducks, and I hear that chickens are the gateway drug to having a ton of animals. So we'll see in the next coming years how that will develop. I'm already really excited about a couple other animals, such as a cat or 2, because we have such a safe place. We don't have through traffic. I think a cat or 2 would be really happy here and could help with the mouse population, since when you live in the woods, you guys probably know, if you do live in the woods or maybe even spend some time, the critters are all over the place all the time. I already had a tick crawling in my hair. So we are planning to build a true homestead, a permaculture setup. We are going to compost chicken manure. We're going to use the duck pond water for fertilizers. We also sell microgreens to local restaurants and some small regular people that find our ads on Facebook Marketplace and reach out to us. So we sell them by the clamshell, as well as live trays or bigger amounts for restaurants. So I want to definitely be able to expand that and keep growing greens and get better at it and make it more efficient. One thing that I'm really happy and proud of is that we're getting continuously feedback that our microgreens are the best in the area whenever restaurants or people do move our microgreens. So that's super exciting because I do put a lot of care and love into growing those greens and making sure that everything is clean, high quality, good water, especially now that we're on a spring-fed water cistern. So we're not on city water. So our water is not chlorinated. Our water is obviously filtered and clean. We've had a water sample done during the home inspection, but it is extremely clean. Even me and people in my personal life that know me, I don't drink tap water usually, but here I actually feel really confident in the water quality that we have. So I do think that really starts to translate into what we do with our animals and plants and how we grow. And the next step is to apply for a couple of grants, some agriculture related grants to help us set up this properly. My husband's actually on his way right now to pick up our planters from the old property, which is a huge endeavor because there's dirt in them, they're heavy, but I'm super excited once we get those over here, because then we can start to transfer all of our plants and veggie starts from the grow room that have slowly been hardening off into our planters now. And hopefully the deer that we have all over the property will not eat our vegetables. We're going to try our best to fence that in. This year is not going to be about aesthetics. You guys know that I love nice things in life, but I am also at a point where aesthetics this year don't matter. So yeah, the plan is to create a fully, as much as possible, self-sustaining system here at our little property. We have 10 acres, but it doesn't quite feel like it yet because it's a lot of wooded acres and it's going down the hill. So my husband is actually in the process of hopefully buying a small tractor this week so we can start leveling some of the ground, creating a real garden, because the property is so huge and there's so many bumps and so much uneven ground that with shovels, there's just no point in even starting. We really want to live a life with a lot more intention. Water for us is not unlimited. Right now it is because we're in a bit of a wetter season, like May in Montana. But we hear that starting in August, when the state is pretty dry overall, you might have some days where the water is not as available as it usually is, since it's fed by a spring up the mountain. So when the water dries up, we're not going to have appropriate amounts of water either. So we have to start to learn to be conscious of that. We do have 2 wells on the property. One is flowing, but it's got very little output. The other one, we don't know yet if it's dry. So we have a well drilling company come out at some point to assess everything and see if we can hook up to that well as either backup, or I don't really know yet how that's going to work. But we're also going to be figuring out a system of collecting water, for example, moving the gray water into one direction and the black water and septic into the other situation, so we can hopefully clean and reuse some of that gray water for other things. This is not something that I know how to do, so we're trying to figure this out as we go. But just to be able to be conscious of those everyday utilities, it really does change things. And I'm not going to lie that it's a little bit difficult. You just run the water, you turn on the lights, you do whatever you want, and you just don't have to worry about it. And the utility bills were never so outrageous that we had to save for those reasons either. And here so far, this is still pretty decent. I'm not going to claim that we're off grid, because we're not. We're on the power grid, and we do have that cistern that provides us with water. But because there is going to be some limitations, and we have a propane tank, we have to bring a company out to fill the propane tank. That bill hurts every time too. So all of a sudden you find yourself just being more conscious of all of those things in your consumption, that there's just a bit more mindfulness. Another fun fact that I didn't know is that you can't really have a garbage disposal, from what I was told, when you're on a private septic like us. I'm used to having a garbage disposal. It is a very interesting change of pace to just have to deal with my kitchen scraps in a different way and all that. I'm going to look this up a little bit more, because I do, again, like my modern day conveniences. Our fridge also doesn't have a water line right now for water and ice, which everyone knows that I love my drinks really cold with ice. So there's just a lot of small things left and right all over the property, where things are just very different to what I'm used to, or what we're used to. Even though I seem to be the one that complains a little more than my husband. But yeah, it's been a really wonderful first day at the property. We have lots of plans. We're going to do remodels, and I'm going to be filming all this and time lapses, and just so you can see that the everyday average person, because we're a family, we have 2 young boys, just about 4 and 6 now. They both have birthdays coming up. I am just a stay-at-home mom, and I have a small business online. I have a digital marketing agency that keeps me pretty busy too. And my husband has some veteran-related issues coming up quite often that also really make our day-to-day sometimes quite difficult to manage. But even with that, I hope that this can show you guys that with probably a good amount of determination, I was going to say a little bit, but some days it really takes a lot of determination, it feels like, to keep going, to keep plugging away, see the bigger picture, and follow the vision to make this a really special and amazing life. Another thing that I should mention is that we're definitely going to be homeschooling our children. we're currently not even far from the next school. But homeschooling is something that we find a lot of value in. I've done a ton of research on this. So we're going to be a homeschooling family. We're going to grow our vegetables. We're going to teach our kids about the world in a very holistic way. We also truly believe that especially young children should be able to stay kids and play and have fun a lot longer. First day so far has been a success. As you can tell, I've changed my outfit. I feel like I'm constantly dirty right now. The move, the sweating, the snow, the animals, everything. It's just been already pretty exhausting. I feel like you'd always expect the move to be hard, but this one was probably one for the books and one of the hardest moves we've ever done. But stay tuned and follow along as we build our dream house out of this old 1970s cabin.